Hello guys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. In this episode, we're going to be interviewing one of our funded traders, and his name is James Hodgson.
I wasn't really aware of trading. I was on doing the break-even dance. That reflection was such a powerful thing.
You believed you was going to do it. It's beautiful to see that type of mindset.
He's one of our portfolio asset managers, and to see his growth and his journey has been truly phenomenal. So I got to meet many people all over the world, which I absolutely love. To be able to see James's growth from then until now has been truly breathtaking. He's looked at the landscape and said, listen, there's other traders with the same dashboard, same resources, same content as me, and they have become successful. So the ownership is now on me to work my ass off and do that, and it's exactly what he has done. So I'm really hyped, really pumped for you to hear this episode, for you to learn from his story, and I hope you take away the key details that you can apply to your day-to-day life, especially if you're someone who aspires to be a funded trader as well. So without further ado, let's dive straight into the interview.
It's been one of the best journeys of my life.
To gain experience in the market. Grateful to be in this position.
9 trades back to back gone, and then that shattered my confidence completely.
You really want to believe something.
There's been some highs, there's been some lows.
I wasn't good at maths, I failed it at college.
I wanted to be a full-time trader by the end of the year.
This is actually possible.
Trading.
All of that euphoric feeling.
You can't stop my trading.
It's just made me a much better trader overall.
Welcome back to another Inside the Mind podcast.
What's going on, guys and girls? Welcome back to another episode on the Inside the Mind podcast. Joined with me, one of our students on our in-house fund. He's going to be sharing his journey with you, the ups and downs, and exactly where he's at now and everything that he's gone through. I think you're going to find it incredibly inspiring if you actually look at the timeline of his journey. Pleased to have you on the podcast. James, what's going on your side?
Hey, Mike, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So to give the viewers a bit of an insight as to your journey and firstly where you're from, see if they can guess your accent. You had a bit of a story there. Run us through, how you kind of made it to where you are now in terms of where you're living, that kind of process. And if you was to just give us, a couple of minutes on your overall trading journey, paint the picture for us.
Yeah, sure. So, so moved over from the UK 5 years ago to Sydney. And then, so that was late 2017, and then late 2018 came across trading. So before then, I didn't even know, I wasn't really aware of trading, and it was the Bitcoin bull run at the time. So that kind of came into the picture, and you look at that and you go down that rabbit hole, and then behind Bitcoin there's the trading aspect. So looking at that, and then came across Falcon and sort of looked into a bit more. And I think just the point at which I think I looked into it, trying to understand what it was all about. And I think quickly got to the point realizing the power of this and thinking, wow, this is something that, can make anything happen that I want. And it's not something that's, far-fetched. It's yourself, Mark, you are the sort of the driver of the content and the strategy and the whole sort of community. And I think I sort of really bought into what you were saying and explaining it. And you weren't selling, sort of a silver bullet. It was just very clear, very genuine, and I was always clear on the power of compounding. Small gains every year. Over a period of time can make a big difference. And then realizing in trading that kind of percentage that you would put in the calculation over a year, you can get in a month. That was, it was like, wow, okay, this is it, right? So I knew pretty quickly that this was something that there's a way here that, everything I dream of, everything I want, all my goals, can happen through this. So from then on, it was this case of, okay, I'm committing, but if I'm honest, I didn't really commit until I was kind of half in, half out until sort of halfway through 2020. And really, by what happened at that point was it was it ties into the visualization side of things. So I was away on a trip with my partner, and by that point I was nearly 2 years into doing trading, and it had its challenges at that time in a way where you put in a lot of time and you don't really get anything tangible out. You're on that riding out learning curve. But we talked about, what it could mean for us, what we could have. And we really went into detail, and it was that visualization of, this could happen. And then that really switched my mindset. So came back from that trip, and before it was work was primary, trading was secondary, and that really switched. And it was like getting a new job. It's the only way I can describe it, because I came back to work with a new mentality that, I need to, obviously turn up and do my work, but, trading is there as, it's up there, and it's really, that's a priority. And then fast forward into 2021, I started doing coaching sessions with Abdu. And at the time I was on doing the break-even dance, which, is something that I realized you can't fluke that. That is progress. I'm not profitable, but that is serious progress.
Yeah, you've still made progress, considering industry standard is like minus 17% per month. Even to get to break-even level, there's so much you have to do.
Yeah, and I think that reflection was such a powerful thing for me, in terms of, okay, time, a certain amount of time has passed, and not that. I think one of the key things for me was that my expectations, I didn't have rigid expectations, but so I was doing the break-even dance, and I knew that I was getting close, and I was working with Abdu on the coaching calls. And then the second part of the visualization happened, where I watched a video of when Brian was the first one to pass on the fund, and watching it felt so close, because I felt like I'm doing everything you're doing. I'm turning up every day. I'm going through the processes, doing my goals, and it almost kind of gave me goosebumps when I was watching it. I felt like I was there. Obviously, I wasn't there yet. And then late 21, early 2022, jumped onto the fund in May, and then passed it in December, and and so that's that's a long way around how I got to.
Thank you for painting the picture and adding the visualization parts. I think it's incredibly valuable. Well, again, congrats on becoming a portfolio asset manager. Honestly, that's such an incredible achievement. I remember meeting you, of course, over the pond in Oz all those years ago, which it feels like it's just flown by since we had that conversation.
Yeah. Lots happened since then. And I was thinking about that earlier, actually, in the way that, that was, as I mentioned, that was pre sort of going all in. When I was there, I was kicking myself afterwards, actually, because that was such a good opportunity to meet others that were all in, or I say all in, because actually one of the things I was thinking about was I think I'm the only one that left in Falcon from that group. So I pat myself on the back for that, just to stuck at it. Because when I was there, I was talking about, this is where I'm going to be, this is what I'm going to do. And, I think that's a big part. Like, I believe that was what I was going to do. And I think that's one of the main things. I don't know, some people not believe that they're going to do it. I think that's key. I believe I can do it, so I was never going to give up. But I just thought that was interesting. It's a bit of a reflection, and maybe that's one of the key things. I've just stuck at it.
And the crazy thing is, it's the belief, right? It's that inner belief. You believed you was going to do it. Someone else's success or lack of success has no influence on your success. If they don't succeed, it doesn't affect you. If they do succeed, it doesn't affect you. If anything, if they do succeed, it gives you more belief. But regardless, right, you push yourself on. And I love the observation of watching Brian's podcast as well. And he just secured that extra 100K. So shout out to Brian as well for pushing it forward. But another example of someone who just cracks on with it, not overnight success. Honestly, it's beautiful to see that type of mindset. And you're perfectly right for giving yourself a pat on the back, because that's just the unfortunate high turnover of this industry. People say they're going to do it. They say, I'm fully all in. You'll be surprised how many conversations I've had with people that say, I'm here. For example, people tell me now, I'm here. I'm going to be in Dubai. I'm going to be doing these things. And then 3 weeks later, they tell me that I've got some issues. They make up excuses that for whatever reason, I'm going to take a bit of a break. They talk themselves out of their goals, when the reality is, remember why you started. That we've got the plan by the end of the year. And if you go all in, and notice that shift, when you made that priority shift at work, like you said, it feels like you've almost got a new found thing. How many traders do you think are doing that right now, where they say they're all in, but trading's not really a priority. It's just this thing they do to make themselves feel good. It's like, well, I feel like I'm part of the 1% because I'm paying for education, I'm doing the right things, I'm kind of doing it, but really you show up late, you don't really keep in the loop of webinars, you're just a bit 50% in.
Yeah, and I think that ties into staying in your own lane, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. If you know where you need to get to, we're part of the community that's got all the content, all the help, all the people that you can reach out to. You say it multiple times, it's all laid out for you. It is, and you don't want to just put the blinkers on, but you almost kind of do that in a way where, I don't need to see, what other people are analyzing. I know what I'm analyzing, and I think that's a key, because there were some points where earlier on where, I would look at what other people were analyzing, but if I've got a plan and I should be doing it to my plan. So whatever they're analyzing is to their plan. And I think that was one of the main things that I progressively worked on in the background that I think is sort of part of the foundation of how I got to where I am. I must have had, 10 or 11 different versions of the plan, but tweaks. They weren't wholesale chuck it in the bin and start again, but it was just more and more refinement, and not refinement just for the sake of it, just where I get a bit more clarity on, okay, well, this is what I need to look for, and this is what I am waiting for. And if I don't see it, then okay, fine, I'll move on. And I think that's really powerful, just to know what you are looking for, because at the end of the day, you're the one pressing the button and it's your account. So
exactly. I want to kind of bring it back to the break-even side of things. And this is the beauty of everybody's learning. Everyone is different. We have traders that they work in the shadows. They've never had a coaching call in their life. We have people that you don't even know their name, and then they just come out of the woodwork, or they've just been, plugging away. Some people need guidance. Some people don't. Well, they kind of get the guidance anyway, but how they receive it is different. Some people take longer to learn. Some people don't. I was actually quite a slow learner. What I really want to focus in on is that you would have had to do a hell of a lot of work to even just get the consistency level of break even. Now you start to realize, when you started having the coaching calls, was talk us through that process of when you was having the coaching calls with Abdu, and he was getting, of course, an insight into, what you're doing really good and what you're not doing good, and how you kind of went through that transition. What was your attitude towards the feedback there?
Well, it was, I'm setting up to hear what he's got to tell me and act on that. So I really enjoyed the sessions, because it was, it's tailored to me. It's, this is how I'm trading, not sort of, tell me what to do, tell me where I'm going wrong. But really it's a call to understand, okay, well, these are the bits that you need to work on, and progressively just kind of ticking them off, and okay, well, rectified that to the point in which, okay, we're sitting in a good position. I think in terms of the break-even dance, the shift was when I actually looked at the trades that I was taking. It was actually not a large upside potential, and the trade itself would look fine. All the parts would be there, and it would you could point to the confluences and okay, that's fine. But actually, when you actually look at, okay, well, what's the potential? It wasn't really there, and that, as we are, Abdu's very probability, he mindset driven. I mean, we all are, but he's got a good history on that. So he really drives that home, and I've definitely changed my way of looking at things, and it's that upside. Is it really worth risking the 1% to potentially get? If I look back at some of the trades to get 3%, no, it's not. So don't do it. And if you look over the sample size, that's not gonna. You don't. One of the things in terms of the high risk and the low risk trades, if in a way where I think he described that there's two types of trader that you could be. And one would be a machine gunist, and another one would be a sniper. And the reason why I said that would be that the machine gun has such a large sample size. The trades that you're taking, you'd need to have a large sample size to have the edge play out. But if that doesn't fit your mindset, if you don't want to take a load of losses in the sequence to be able to get extract the profit, then maybe that's not for you. And I quickly realized that I was in the other group, the sniper group, where lower frequency, high quality. And for me, that's because it and sort of all talking around a similar thing here, but it was all technical clarity, because the way, for what I got out of those calls and how I think I broke through, was having that technical clarity to know that I'm objectively playing out the edge. Because and I know if I put a trade on, I'm happy with it, and I'm objectively playing out the edge, I'm happy to lose. Fine, I'm happy to go crashing out in sequence. You know, if they're all great trades and I lose, that's fine, because I've done everything I can do. It's just, you know, this. But yeah, and that was a key part in the assessment, where I did take a 1.3 losses in a row, but you know, I was fine with the trades that I won. So maybe one of the three, okay, but you know, I was happy with what I was putting on. So therefore, it didn't hold me back from the next trade. I was just right, okay, happy with that. Did everything I could, move on. Yeah, so there are quite a number of ways in which, but like I say, all around this technical clarity that, yeah, I think that was for me. You know, that might not be what others maybe need to get them through that hurdle over from break-even dance to profitability, but for me, it was that.
Well, yeah, everyone's different, and I'm sure he's already told you already, but incredibly proud of the work that you've put in to get to that. So I think that is phenomenal that you've used it wisely. Some people will use coaching and kind of just not do anything with it. You'll be surprised. So this is why it's such a good prompt, that regardless whether you're going through coaching sessions or you're just applying yourself, everyone learns differently. But if you're learn, like, be there to show up. Don't just do it just to tick a box and, you know, feel like you're progressing, because you could have 2 coaching sessions a month, but still just kind of turn up just to feel good. You'd be surprised how many people do this in life. They do things just to tick the box. But when you change your perspective of, I need to make sure that what I'm doing is making a difference, even if the progression is so minute, as long as I'm moving forward, I'm happy with that, because, you know, time comes very quickly. And as long as you've progressed and you're proud of yourself, you know, I've moved forward. That's all you can ask of yourself. And that's where I want to kind of lean it towards. So how long have you been in Falcon now, for those that don't know?
Yes, it was September 2018 was when I first joined. Just had a look through my journals, the very first one. Yeah, so it'll be, what's that, 4 and a bit years, yeah, 4.5.
Nice. And how would you say as an individual, if you was to give us an overview as to how you look at yourself, look at your goals, what would you say has impacted you most about, you know, being around the community, you know, meetups, just the whole kind of overview of it?
I think the personal development aspect of it, because before joining Falcon, I didn't really do any of that really sort of intentionally. You know, reading books such as, you know, the Chimp Paradox, you know, read it for the first time, so many aha moments. Oh yeah, why didn't I read this earlier? And then that kind of gives you the, you know, kind of open my eyes to extra areas of improvement, and, you know, listening to people like, you know, Jim Rohn and things like that, where you know, which because you know, there's and I mentioned Jim Rohn because I want to raise a point that I think might resonate with quite a few people, where during the early parts of when I was you know, learning the strategy and onboarding a lot of information and trying to put in the hours, the challenge I had was that I'm trying to shoehorn in you know, in time that I'm already kind of doing, you know, things, if you like, so out of work. You know, I've got a social life, I've got a partner, we do things, and, you know, it's a lot of time that you need to put in for that. So I've got to get it in there somewhere, and the challenge would be that when you are learning at the start, you don't have anything to show for it, and it's like, oh, you've been doing it for hours. How's it going? Yeah, it's going okay. And then months down the line, well, how's it going? Well, you know, it's going okay. So when, you know, so when not that I'd get the question, oh yes, so when are we going to kind of see something out of it? But those would be the obvious. Those would be the rational thinking that, you know,
of course,
what you're doing, and one of the phrases that Jim Rohn says, which I'm sure you'll be very familiar with, is you know, if you're going to be there, and that resonated so clearly, because I'd be in the room trying to do the trading, and thinking, I should be out there. I should be doing stuff. And then when we would be doing things, I'd be thinking, oh, I've got so much trading to do. I should be trading. And there'd be that conflict. And it took a bit of time to get through that. But that's probably one of the biggest challenges for me, I think, because, it's not like I did kind of create time by, saying no to a few things and trying to filter out a few things that, in the long term, do I really want to be doing that? It's still fun, but, carving out the time for trading. So, that was really good to get over that challenge. And then just circling back through to, the community. I mean, since joining, everyone's just so genuine. Everyone's on the same page. It's, we're all worldwide. There's people, we probably couldn't get further apart geographically if we tried, it's just, but, we everyone chats to each other as though, everyone's on the same mission, aren't they? So it's just, and it's always said trading's a lonely game. And, I guess without communities it is. And Falcon provides that. I don't think, obviously wouldn't be anywhere where I am now without all that. So I just, I think the fact that I've been in there for so long, and I just had the belief that I was in the right place. The support's there. You've no disrespect, you've done it. Why can't I? It's just, we've all got the same 24 hours.
Exactly.
But no, best decision ever made. I guess, So
I love it. I love how you applied yourself all that period of time, because most people, they just give up during those times as well, and you've leveraged it well. You've just got on with it. I think that's the key part to take away from this. You've not really compared yourself. Did you ever find moments, you don't seem like you're someone who really was bothered about what this person's doing? You just kind of used it. Anyone who did become successful, you just used it as more confidence, right? They can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, there's a bit of curiosity where I kind of back to where I was saying about just understanding the concept of compounding. You don't need huge returns, and we've all got Instagram. We see things come across our feed, and you think, okay, there's a lot of bullshit out there, isn't there? And I think a lot of people get sucked into that. And I just think because I hadn't been anywhere before Falcon, I was protected from that. I wasn't. I knew what was realistic. I knew what I needed to do. There's no need to entertain any of that. I've got my way forward. So
I think that's what commitment is. That's what commitment is. That's all I ever ask of any single one of you. I've always said, because for me as well, think about it from a mental perspective, and the coaches as well. If we put our time and effort into somebody, even sometimes for like 8 months, and we see them grow, we can see the changes as an individual, and then they just quit. It feels like such a massive waste of our time, as if we put so much energy into, as you know what we're like we actually want you to do well. Like, we care about that. That's why we're doing the things we're doing. We've got the 6-year anniversary. People are flying in from different parts. We've got Dubai at the end of the year. The level of extra infrastructure that goes into Falcon, I think that just speaks volumes from us wanting for people to do well. We're trying to create opportunities and even potential other income streams for people within Falcon. So there's just so much that goes into that. So it's always a breath of fresh air to us when we see someone commit to it, because we see the other side of like, I'm here, and then they go, and it's like, well, we've invested thousands upon thousands of extra infrastructure so you can potentially have another income, and then you give up after 8 months. It's such a disrespect to the time. So when we see people like yourself just go all the way through, so rewarding. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's almost like a reciprocal agreement, isn't it? You've done everything you said you're going to do. I've no doubts that you'll do everything that you say you're going to do, and we're doing the same. So if you're turning up and you're sticking to your word, we should do the same. And I expect that myself. You expect that of yourself, and to be honest, I expect it of others as well. Everybody I speak to in the community, I'll take that I'll believe it. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I? So yeah,
exactly. You've got no time and effort to waste on thinking whether they will or they won't, because at the end of the day, no one's going to trade your account for you. You've got your ambitions. Again, congratulations on recently becoming a father. I'm sure there's all kinds of responsibility with that. I'm going to lean into that a little bit of What would you say is your overall why? Like, what is if you was to paint the picture as to like what is, you're at a stage now, you're a portfolio asset manager, you've got ambitions and goals. What's the goal for you over maybe this year or the next couple of years? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so I guess the obvious goal is to keep scaling up. You know, Q1, I want to get to the next level of the fund. You know, keep stretching myself. Q2 6 figures, end of the year $500,000. One thing I just want to say about that is the first funding webinar I went to, there's a big realization, and that was around urgency. And you know, we always say, don't have expectations on time. Don't say that it's going to take this month and this much time until you get consistent. Mm-hmm. But and I think I hung on to that a little bit too much. I was a little bit too loose, and in the way where I'm heading in the right direction. I'll pass it when I pass it, but I'll just keep doing the same thing. But I realized that I'm missing the urgency, and without putting a date on it. And it wasn't to say, okay, well, if I don't pass it by that time, then I'm going to be upset. But had to be a time on it, and it was with the golden number exercise where we said, okay, you know, we want to, well, what is our golden number, and how much do we want to get to before we get financially free, and putting those timelines on it gave me the urgency. So that was a big eye opener.
Nice.
Because yeah, that really was.
It gives you the right urgency. You know it's real now. It's not this, because we could say to any student, what do you want to achieve? They'll be like, I want to trade 200K. There's pluck a figure out their head that sounds good. And because it is a good figure. However, it's not related to your numbers. Your number actually might be 140. And just by you knowing that it's 140 gives you so much urgency. It's like, wow, that's literally just a couple of stepping stones. And I can actually quit my job and I can act, yes. But people don't do the numbers. So for you, end of year, you mentioned $500,000. There's going to be incremental steps along the way of that. Have you got any plans to reward yourself along the way? Is there any little milestones? Dubai at the end of the year, I know you're probably excited about.
Yeah, so Dubai will be a reward at the end of the year, and you know, it ties into the why. I'll be taking my partner and he'll be.
How old will he be then?
He's probably at 14 months, so he'll be in the pool. So yeah, and so that will be a big reward. Took my partner Kate out for a nice meal to let her know the surprise that I'd passed. And you know, so that was special. And just, I think there'll be things like that along the way, but yeah, definitely Dubai will be huge. And then in terms of the why, I mean, before coming out to Australia, I had my eyes on in the property game, and was developing a few properties, and that was off. And I think the driver for that was the fear of being mediocre, and also believing that I can do whatever I want to do without sounding egotistical. It's all there. It's there to play for. I can, you know, if I just go out and do it, I can get it. But deep down, probably fear of just being mediocre. So coming over to Australia, when I saw trading, that was almost like a substitute. I say substitute because one of my goals is to when I quit full-time work, will be to jump into back into that. But I think that was the initial driver, and you know, now with Otis and you know, I want to set my family up, and you know, and all these you know, dreams about, you know, life's to be experienced, you know, all these places around the world that, you know, some people probably just think, oh yeah, one day, you know, and you know, that's the phrase that my dad uses. He goes, oh yeah, one day we'll go there. And you know, I just think a lot of the times I just think, you're saying one day, but you don't mean, you're just saying one day. You're not actually thinking behind that one day, okay, well, how are we going to get there? How are we going to do it? So
exactly.
A lot of that is, you know, we were going to be doing, you know, base camp, things like that, just things that would have otherwise been a one day thing. So, for trading to make all that a realistic thing, and it's, you know, it doesn't get more powerful than that, you know, and the visualization that comes behind that as well, you know, just thinking about those things, you know, how can you not get up, jump out of bed and do your goals and do your forecasts and everything when there's that, you know, at your fingertips. So
100%.
Yeah, it's very, very powerful.
And that's what I love about Dubai, because a lot of people have got very confused by the idea of it. We've had lots of messages in, lots of people, of course, as you can imagine, people get very inspired by these type of podcasts because students that, they see people like yourself, like, well, he's done it, so I can do it, which gives them the belief, which is the whole point of that, because there's something that happens in your mind that sometimes you just need a little bit of relatability. That's why we get a lot of people from the outside that have no education, don't think education is important. They'll watch an episode like this on YouTube and think, wow, it's great to see, a genuine person, he's done it, and that pushes them to maybe want to embark their journey in trading. And with all the misinformation out there, you can see why. It's like we owe this space a duty to give them the reality of trading. None of these smoke and mirrors, you're going to get rich in 3 months or 6 months. It's a hard graft. It will take you years. You will have to become a certain type of individual. It doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are, because I always paint the picture of this. If we look at the value as to what's most important, technicals or mind, you still need to be a technically skilled trader. But imagine you had this super wizard, knows absolutely everything about the market, very switched on, and in a simulated environment can do all of it, but fundamentally so anxious. Like, imagine they're just, by their nature, they're just very anxious and they don't know how to overcome their anxiety. What is the chances they would be able to perform under pressure with a large amount of capital? And they've got to place even 5K a position. And if their self-worth and self-esteem is very low, they could take that trade logically, and then if it doesn't go their way, I highly doubt their logical sequential mind is going to go just probabilities, because they're so anxious, they're going to hesitate, they're going to get in late or get in too early, all these things. So you could be the best, you could literally be the most knowledgeable person in the world, but if you do not fix yourself, then it's not going to happen. And that's the message I'd rather push. Listen, it's not the most attractive because it would just go through one ear and out the other. But these same people that have backtested 17 different strategies, they're not winning. The stats are the same. Even when you get these random strategies that can yield massive returns with all of the high risk, the returns are the same. And then when people will send it in to me, Abdu, Ibi, they'll say, look, I passed this fund, like, look at this. They've taken 150 trades to make 10%. That's disgusting. Like, think about how much risk is involved to do that. So slow and steady wins the race. And by no means are we a strategy that doesn't yield returns, but I'm talking about the whole point of your mindset needs to be in the right place. And I think they'll take a lot of value from what you said, that you're someone who's been well-centered and you've really taken your time. And look, you've got solid foundations now. You've got belief behind what you're doing. And bring it back to the Dubai, the point that I was making, for us, it's a milestone. Like, for you to be there, you won't be there by fluke. You won't be there by chance. It's not like you decide you just want a vacation there. You get to get up every day, like you said, and know that, right, I can be trading £500,000. My lifestyle is very different. I get to take my family. Otis be 14 months. Like, there's some real neuro pathway connections there that you're going to work your ass off until that's a reality. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I can see it. I think more than I realized over the last 12 months, the visualization side of it is huge, because when you do visualize it happening, you just all your energy, everything just directs in the same way, and you make it happen. And just back onto just quickly what you're saying around putting on loads of trades and all these other strategies and things. I think the biggest one of the biggest things is the sustainability. And I suppose it ties into just having a little boy as well, in the way that if you had to be at the screen all the time, it wouldn't work. The fact that we can set alerts, do the analysis, that's done. Wait until alerts go off. Wait until it's in the high value area. A lot of time will pass in between where it's doing things you're not even interested in. You don't need to know. Mm-hmm. That enabled me to carry on through having a little one, because it was almost like less is more, because I wasn't able to, not that I do a lot anyway, but we all kind of go on the chats here and there in between alerts and just have a look, but I wasn't able to even do that. So it really forced me to really stick to just the needle moving stuff, just and keep it light but keep it high value, and so I think that's one of the key things about the strategy. And maybe that ties into the long-term perspective as well. If it's sustainable, you're going to be able to do it for the long term, and
exactly.
And that's where it'll come into fruition. You don't even need 2 or 3% a month over a long term, we're going to be trading for 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, may never stop, so yeah.
With the way that we do it, it's very difficult to burn out. Like, think about, even just hypothetically, 20 years from now, you're trading, and listen, along the way, there might be minor increments that happen within Falcon over a 20-year period. Of course, the market could change ever so slightly. However, fundamentally, we're never going to be at a stage where we're the type of traders that take 50 trades a month. So no matter what you're doing, you could be, let's say you're retired, right? Like completely. Even once you've got the skill, no one's taking it away from you. Like the in-between time of waiting, that's still going to be the same thing. You're still going to identify value areas. The psychology of traders is going to be pretty much the same, because, the animalistical mind hasn't really changed for 2,000 years. So people are still going to be anxious. They're not going to know how to regulate their emotions. Most of the world do not know how to think correctly. So we know there's a kind of a 99.9% chance that humans will be the same in 20 years. Therefore, our edge will continue year after year after year. And the sustainability part is great. How great is it that you can spend time with your son as he grows up, knowing that, listen, if you look at a chart, it's not going to be ready for at least 8 hours. So you don't need to stress over anything. You can just get on with your day, do the things you need to do, knowing that, right, if I trade today, doesn't matter, because it doesn't change a thing, because I've got capital behind me and I'm not trying to flip a 10K account. And that's such a good place to be.
Yeah, I'll be honest, that was a hard thing to get comfortable with. And I'm sure a lot of people can probably resonate with this, where not taking a trade, you think, oh, am I doing something wrong? But again, it was really sort of mind settling to get to the point where I was comfortable with having a week where I didn't put on a trade, but I didn't start questioning myself. It was just, okay, there was just nothing that shaped up that week. And that was a great milestone to get to, because then that's an avenue where you can start throwing away percentage, because you think, okay, well, and then you start looking at other people's analysis because you haven't found anything, but it's like, well, just stay in your own lane. You know what you're looking for. And yeah, I guess confidence is a large part of that you stick to what you know, you know what you know. And yeah.
Love that. Well, James, the last thing I wanted to ask you on this podcast, which has been incredible, by the way, is you've seen the transition from when you started Falcon, and you've seen all of it. What would be your words of advice as maybe someone who's been here 6 months or a year, who hasn't had the benefit of seeing everything that we've launched during that period of time? Because it's easy for you to see that when we say, right, this is what we're doing, you've actually seen it play out. What would your advice to be to someone who's still in that part of their journey? Maybe they're not even consistent yet of, their attitude towards things and how they should approach it.
Yeah, I guess, as I said earlier, it is all laid out, and it's there to, it's there for the taking. You've just got to, I think the main thing is you've got to believe that you can do it. If you believe you can do it, then you will keep turning up. And I think expectations, because if we have to be fairly flexible in our expectations. We don't know how long it's going to take, and I had no idea how long it was going to take me, but I knew without it sounding, there's no ego in it. I knew I was going to get there, and by saying that, if it took me 10 years, I would have got there. But I would be doing something wrong if it took 10 years. But you just got to believe and stick at it, and not expect things to happen on any particular timescale. But I think the key thing is, if you look back on a quarter, you need to be seeing progress, and I think I think you'd be foolish to have foolish to think that it's going to happen if you don't see continual improvement. And so that's the key thing. I think, every quarter, just keep looking back and see how far you've come. And you know that as long as you're making progress each quarter, you're getting closer to consistency. And also just reach out to people in the community. Everyone's, like I say, like-minded. I'd help someone without thinking about it. They'd help me. You know that if you reach out to someone, they're gonna give you the time, and it's the best place to learn. So yeah, and as you say, you're keeping in developing Falcon, and the market isn't going to change overnight. So you're learning something you're going to become the asset. Once you've got it, no one can take it away from you. So it's it's a no-brainer to pour all your energy into it and just get there. But who knows when? You just got to keep moving forward.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And I think that some of those parts could go right over someone's head, but that is so key. And I think the key thing that I've learned from this podcast, of course, knowing you for so many years as well, which I'm incredibly proud of what you achieved. Genuinely, it's so good to see that, because it doesn't happen by accident, not at all. I'm sure surprising your partner with the certificate was an incredible feeling. You've just become a father, like all things are tying together, but you had the belief. You had the belief that you would do it, and you didn't care about anyone else's journey. And the timeline part is the truest thing, because there are some really capable people that I've met in the past and capable people right now that are putting too much judgment on where they think they should be, and they overlook that, but I'm actually progressing. So forget about the timeline. It's going to happen for you on your own schedule. Aim for things. There's nothing wrong with saying, right, end of the year, I want to be in Dubai. End of the year, I want to be trading 100K or 200K. Listen, you might get to the end of the year and only be trading 50K. And if you're financially not in a position to come to Dubai, it's not going to determine your success, because I can bet you this, if you didn't have that push, if you didn't have that urgency to want to be there, you probably would be trading zero. You wouldn't even be funded. So the sheer fact that someone could get there and be trading 50 and be like, right, maybe not this time, it didn't happen for me, but guess what? I'm consistent. I'm trading 50K, and you've progressed massively. And then there's going to be many more meetups than just in Dubai, but it's so good to aim for something and see how much closer can I get towards my goals. And many people will be pleasantly surprised how far they will actually get this year, just by having that little anchor point to go, right, I need to wake up every single day, because everybody else is doing it. Collectively as a whole, we're getting shit done. And that's an incredible thing.
I think a lot of people are closer than they realize.
Yes.
Definitely.
Definitely. Well, no, thank you so much for being transparent about your journey, all the things that have helped you along the way. Incredibly inspired by the things that you've done. And I'm excited for people to listen to this, and of course to see your growth as well. You've got the key things. I love the fact you're clear on like the numbers, everything, the golden number. I promise you, that is what you're going to look back in years to come and realize why you're successful. It won't just be your work ethic. It will be the detail. And usually people that can map out their life, the subconscious just acts accordingly and just gets it done. But you just have to have the belief behind it. So keep on doing your thing. And I'm sure we're going to meet again very soon.
Definitely. Yeah.
Pleasure.
Well, in a particular place in Dubai. So yeah, cheers,
Yes,
Mike. Appreciate you getting me
indeed.
on the podcast and sharing my story. Thank you.
No, you're very welcome. Congratulations again. Keep on moving forward.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.